What's up, Ragin Nation? My name is Alex. You're watching the Ragin Ronin review. In this video, I want to do a spoiler-filled discussion talkback for Prometheus. I did a spoiler-free review a few days ago. If you haven't already seen that, check it out. I tried my best to keep it spoiler-free. So if you want to avoid spoilers, don't watch this video and watch that other video. Right now, I'm going to talk about all the fine details and nitty-gritty things and all the things that I loved about this movie. And here we go. The first thing I want to talk about is what I did like about the movie. And what I loved is the homages to Alien, Ridley Scott's original 1979 movie. The first thing I noticed was Jerry Goldsmith's score. You know, his you know that part? I love that they added a little bit of that in the movie, and I just felt, oh, that is cool. That is cool. That is something for the fans. Another thing I liked is that, you know, the running theme in Alien, at least the first 3 Alien movies and also AVP, was when people are cocooned, they always go, kill me, you know? And I love that they had that homage in Prometheus. Charlie was infected with, you know, the black fluid. He asked Meredith Vickers to kill him. What she had in her hand was a flame unit. And this is what they do in the first 3 Alien movies, and that is and also AVP, and that is they use the flamethrowers to burn the victims before they something bursts out of them. Another thing was that even though the face hugger, the chest burster, and the xenomorph were not in Prometheus, at least their ancestor was. So that was cool as well. A lot of the fans were expecting to see the xenomorph, but we didn't really get that. We saw a different version of it. It's an earlier version, and I like that Ridley Scott included that. I also love that the space jockeys were bigger than anything we could ever imagine. We originally thought they were, you know, aliens. I guess you can say they kind of are, but what they really are on the grand scheme of things, it's beyond our comprehension even. Ridley Scott made the concept what it is now in Prometheus, and none of us really expected that. This is the origins of mankind itself. The black fluid that he drank eventually led to the creation of one life, which led to the breeding of another life, and eventually it created what we know as the xenomorph in Alien, and I think that is just freaking sick. So when you do the math, those things in the ground were worms, and the black fluid mutated them into the snakes, and anything the black fluid touches becomes aggressive. When one of the geologists was exposed to it, he became an aggressive zombie. And when Charlie ingested a drop of it, he had the organism lurking inside his circular vascular system, which eventually got impregnated into Shaw, and then she gave birth to the original face hugger. And then the face hugger got a hold of the engineer, impregnated him, and then it gave birth to the original xenomorph. Now, we don't really know if that is the original alien queen, but it is possible it is, or it could be a lesser evolved version of the alien queen, and it needs to go through several stages of evolution before it becomes the alien queen. My theory is that it is an earlier version of the alien queen, and it eventually finds its way to another derelict craft, and then it habituates it, or habitizes it. I don't even know if that's a real word, or it creates a habitat within the ship, because we don't really know, or it hasn't been mentioned, if there are other ships in other parts of the planet. That's a possibility. So that part wasn't completely covered, but it is possible that it could be a xenomorph that reaches alien queen status, so then it starts laying eggs within the ship to an oblivious engineer, and then it impregnates him, thus killing him, and then the ship crash lands to the planet known as LV-426, which also means that the derelict craft that Shaw was piloting does not crash land onto LV-426. The xenomorphs were brought onto the planet later on. But I'm not going to completely rule that out, because maybe, just maybe, in order for Shaw to pilot the derelict craft, she has to sit in the original space jockey's pilot chair, you know, the cockpit. And in order for her to do so, to fly out into outer space, she has to put on one of those the engineer's suits. Because don't forget that in one of the corridors, there was all these extra suits hanging around, so she could have been wearing one of them. So there's something for you to think about. Okay, here's some nitpicky things that I had to point out about the movie that were kind of unnecessary or were a little bit questionable. Okay, remember that Janek had these 2 co-pilots? It was an Asian guy and a white guy. And the Asian guy had a few lines of dialogue, I think. Whenever Janek spoke to him, he just kind of grunted. And I didn't really know what he was saying. And the other guy, he didn't do anything except for just show his face and then just smile or smirk or just acknowledge him with a facial expression each time. Why did they need to be there? They really didn't contribute to the the story or as supporting roles. They didn't do anything. So I'm just wondering, why did they had to be there? But I guess Janek needed some support, some moral support for when he was going to crash the Prometheus into the derelict, I guess. On the other hand, you can think of that situation as the ultimate sacrifice coming full circle, because in the beginning of the movie, that engineer sacrificed himself to create life. Now, Janek and his crew are sacrificing themselves not just to save lives, but life itself. Oh, and here's another thing. Here's something that I have to ask the writer, Damon Lindelof. Why did he think it was a brilliant idea, or a good idea rather, to reveal Peter Weyland as being alive and on the ship all along? Was it really that important? Yes, I do realize that the revealing of Peter Weyland being alive did create an opportunity for the crew to go back to the space jockey, but I personally felt that one of the elements that made the alien universe so intriguing was that we never really got to know who Peter Weyland was as a human being. So I thought that that aspect weakened the story. The character was more interesting as a hologram. And then there was a scene which reveals Meredith Vickers as being Peter Weyland's daughter. While it did make sense because she wanted him dead so that she could inherit the company and the funding, it was really an element of the story that was quite meaningless and really doesn't add any depth to the story. It just makes you think, oh, okay, that's her daughter. Alright, okay. Alright. And also another question that people had was that, how did the squid that Shaw pulled out of her stomach get so big in just a matter of hours? Well, that is simply an homage to the xenomorph in Alien. Remember, it was a chest burster? Well, in less than 24 hours, that thing went from chest burster to a full adult-sized xenomorph. So because the xenomorph and the squid are comprised of similar DNA, they would therefore harbor the same genetic characteristics, such as sped-up physical growth. Another big question on people's minds was that, why did David intentionally infect Charlie with the black fluid? And the simple answer is that this is what the company wanted. Ask yourself, what is the ongoing theme in all of the Alien movies and the AVP movies? The answer is that the company wants to bring back biological weapons. Crew expendable. David is an android. He could have had a hidden agenda programmed into him by Weyland Industry to infect a human so that he could bring back the results to the company. It is until they had Bishop in Aliens where the androids were not allowed to harm humans, even if they were allowed to. Now, I'm sure there are a lot more questions out there, but the big thing on people's minds is that there were just too many questions and not enough answers, and thus making them plot holes. I'm gonna go ahead and say that they're not plot holes. Those questions are meant to be there. If you type up a review for Prometheus and you review the movie negatively, and your review consists of nothing but questions that you need answers for, then most likely you are not someone that knows enough about the alien mythos, or you're really not paying attention to the bigger picture. So with that being said, I personally believe that there are only two questions that don't really have a definitive answer, but I will give you some theories. And that is question number one, and that is, why did the engineers want to kill humans? My theory is that it relates to the same conflict that is in iRobot and Eagle Eye, and that is artificial intelligence, AI, or robots going against their creators. So therefore, it's the created going against the creator. In iRobot and Eagle Eye, the created wants to oppress the creators because they are intelligent enough to see that the creators, humans, are causing more destruction than progression. Now in Prometheus, the roles are reversed. The creators, which are the engineers, want to destroy the humans because they see that there's nothing but wars and death and destruction going on. It's kind of like they have to tame their pet. If they see that they're doing something wrong, they need to fix that. And by fixing that, it could mean just wiping them out completely, just not having them at all. They created the humans are misbehaving, and now they have to punish them because the humans can't cherish the privilege of having life. Now here's the second question, and that is, what planet was the engineer on at the beginning of the movie? Was it Earth? Or was it LV-223? Now, I'm not too concerned about what that potion really is and where it came from or why he's drinking it. I think the bigger picture lies with where the event is taking place, because that is very debatable. Now, let's say that the planet was LV-223. Then that means the black fluid poisoned him just like how it poisoned Charlie And that's all there is to it. There's nothing more to explain than that. But let's just say that the planet that we saw at the beginning of the movie was actually Earth. That means that the engineer sacrificed himself and his infected DNA spread out through the water and it infected the surrounding area, and thus in the end creating life just as it created an evolution of life out of those worms. So I think that the planet at the beginning of the movie was actually Earth. And those are my two big questions that I have without a definitive answer for, and I just revealed my theories, but they are certainly debatable. And the last thing I want to mention is that while we didn't get an end credit scene like we normally would in these types of movie, I did notice something very peculiar, and I wouldn't say that it's nothing because it's something that we typically wouldn't get at the end of the production credits. And that was the Wayland logo. And it was followed by a website link, which I forgot what it was, but I'm sure it leads somewhere to some like viral web page or something like that. I just thought that was kind of interesting, but it just said Wayland Building Better Worlds and a website. And that's it. I just found that kind of interesting, and that's all I have to say in this video. That is the conclusion of my spoiler-filled discussion talkback for Prometheus. If you guys have some questions, let me know what they are in the comment section below, or if you just want to talk about the movie in a spoiler-filled way, definitely just use this comment section as a discussion forum. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by clicking that like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation, and also follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. My name is Alex Yu, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. This really mysterious scene, and it made us think like, what the heck are we watching and where is he going with this? The movie is actually full of surprises, and I kept on asking